All right, 5.2 for Math 100 is dividing polynomials. So just like in multiplying there were some rules, dividing there are also some rules. So our first rule says if we've got b raised to the m power divided by b raised to the n power, we read that fraction as divide, then our little rule says we would subtract the exponents. Now the b's must be the same, okay, you have to have the same base. The next one says if you've got any variable or anything for that matter raised to the 0 power, our answer is 1. And then if you've got a fraction raised to an exponent, then really we're going to take each one, I didn't mean to put that parentheses there, we're going to take both things in parentheses and raise them to that exponent, just like we were doing before. Not sure why that keeps popping up. All right. So I would have a to the m divided by b to the m on this particular problem. All right. So let's go from here and see what happens. All right. Let's try some problems to just give an example of these. All right, let's start with if we have 2 to the 7th divided by 2 to the 3rd. Okay, my bases are the same, they're both 2. So I have 2 to the 7 minus 3, which gives me 2 to the 4th power. Now, my math lab probably will want you to go ahead and simplify that, actually do what it says. So 2 to the 4th, just in case someone is still not completely clear, means I multiply 2 times itself 4 times. That's what it means. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 would be 16, would be my actual answer to that problem. All right, if I have, let's say I don't have just numbers up there. Let's say I have some variables, something like x to the 9th divided by x squared. Again, my bases are the same, they are both x. So I have x to the 9 minus 2, which would be x to the 7th power. So that would be my answer. All right, so let's go to the 0 exponent thing over here. Okay, if I have 12 raised to the 0 power, it is 1. All right, if I had negative 4 raised to the 0 power, it is still 1. If I had x to the 0 power, it is 1. Now here's a little trick for you. This one is not 1, okay, because this says 10 times x to the 0. So 10 times 1 would be 10. So be careful the way that it's written. Okay, another way that that could be written is if I had the 10x in parentheses and then it was raised to the 0. Now that changes things. Okay, because remember we said anything in the parentheses would get the exponent. So I have 10 to the 0, x to the 0. Okay, now 10 to the 0 is 1, x to the 0 is 1, and so on this one, my answer is 1. So just be careful, make sure you pay attention to the way that the problem is written, okay? That 0, is the exponent 0 on the whole thing? Or is it just on part of it? All right, and let's go to this last little rule, okay, where we have some fractions here raised to a power. All right, so if I had something like x over 4 squared, okay, that means the x gets squared and the 4 also gets squared. Now my math lab will not allow you to leave your answer like that because we can do 4 squared. 4 squared is 16, 4 times 4. So that's how my math lab would want you to type in your answer. Okay, let's do another one of those. 2a cubed divided by b to the 4th, all of that raised to the 5th power. Okay, so lots to consider here. Everything in parentheses is going to get raised to the 5th power. So we have 2 to the 5th, a cubed to the fifth, power raised to a power, you multiply those exponents. And then b to the fourth raised to the fifth, power raised to a power, you multiply those exponents. So we end up with 2 to the fifth is 32. This would be a to the 15 and b to the 20. So that would be our final answer there. So super careful, making sure that we raise everything in those parentheses to that outer exponent. All right. Okay, this time we're going to go and divide. We're actually going to do some division. So if I had negative 20x to the 12th divided by 10x to the 4th. Now this gets a little confusing for people when there's numbers sitting out front. So this is completely your option, but if I take the two numbers and let's sit them out front, and then I say times, now if I look at my variables, I've got 12 minus 4. When we're dividing, we subtract the exponents. Okay? So negative 20 divided by 10 is negative 2. And then 12 minus 4 would give me 8. So this is negative 2x to the 8th. Okay, let's try another one. If I had 3x to the 4th divided by 15x to the 4th. All right, now we're going to use the same little idea. Take my numbers, 3 over 15, multiply it by x to the exponent minus exponent. Okay, 3 over 15 is not 5. That is a common mistake. We simplify the fraction by dividing both of them by 3. That would give me 1 over 5. X to the 0. Now, we just learned what x to the 0 was. X to the 0 is 1. So this says 1/5 times 1, which is 1/5. That would be my final answer. All right. All right, our problems are going to get slightly bigger. So let's say we have a polynomial, in this case a trinomial, negative 15 x to the 9th plus 6x to the 5th minus 9x cubed, all divided by 3x squared. All right. So just for the sake of making sure we all are understanding our vocabulary, right? In parentheses here we have a trinomial. Okay, it has 3 terms. Over here it is 1 term. It is called a monomial. Just making sure we're good on our vocab. All right. When you divide by a monomial, first of all, I'm going to write this differently. I like to see my division bar like this. Okay, so the first thing I've done is just wrote, instead of that division symbol, I use the fraction bar. Okay, now when you are dividing by a monomial, when dividing by, whoops, spelled that incorrectly. All right, so when I'm dividing by a monomial, I can rewrite this and divide each term in the numerator, let me abbreviate a little bit there, by the monomial. Okay, and so here's what that's going to look like. So I've got negative 15x to the 9th divided by 3x squared. Plus 6x to the 5th divided by 3x squared minus 9x cubed divided by 3x squared. And so this is what I've done here. Okay, I divided each term in the numerator by the monomial. Okay. Now I'm going to simplify each one of those. So 15 divided by 3, that does give me a -5. Subtract your exponents, and we get x to the 7th. Plus 6 divided by 3 is 2. Subtract my exponents. 5 minus 2 is 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Subtract your exponents, and you get x to the first power. So there would be my answer. All right, so just making sure that when you're dividing by a monomial, you can separate it like this and then simplify each one. So make sure that you simplify after you have written it this way. Okay, which is what I've done here, and I have our solution there in the box. So this is everything for section 5.5. If you have any questions, please email me. That is the best form of communication with me. Make sure that you are writing down your work as you do it, because if you email me with a question, I'm going to say, hey, take a picture of your problem and send it to me. And I'm really talking about what you wrote on your paper. So I want to help you the best way I know how. So that is all of section 5.5. I'll see you for the next video.